Bang, bang. You know it's a pay-per-view. We got to do the double bang today. UFC 301. I'm hyped for this one, boys. As you can tell, I'm over my slight illness. We ain't even going to call it an illness because the illness came to me. I slapped it, backhand slap, big pimp slap, and the illness basically fucked off within like 2 days. You caught me last week when I was a little bit sick, but I did backhand it. It's left now. I'm ready. I'm hyped up. I'm fired up. I'm feeling that this week's going to be a good week. UFC 301, multiple underdogs seem to be quite live. Erceg versus Pantoja. Couple man try to say I look like Erceg. I don't agree with that, Astro boy, but you know, you can have your fun if you believe so. He's got a good chance to win the fight. Pantoja's a very, very high-level fighter, good in all realms. So these two fighters are good in every facet of MMA. You know, they don't really have a weakness. I mean, what weakness does Pantoja or Erceg have? Not really, right? We'll get into that fight in the future, but we're going to do the main card breakdown today, as always. And yeah, man, shout out to everybody in here. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people joining over the next 30 minutes or so. And I'm only going to do the main card today. I will do a full card breakdown when I do my Parlay Madness show, which is going to come later this week. And yeah, I'm going to say shout out to everyone here. We've got Eric Betts Fights. My man Eric, it's time. Let's get that bread, gang. You already know. Beaver telling me to hurry the fuck up. Certified Gas Pack saying Erceg. Yeah, we spoke about that. Please don't do the bang thing. It scares my cat. She was a gang cat back in the day. Well, I did it. Your cat shouldn't be such a pussy. You know? Tony saying Erceg about to shock the world. Damn. Few people saying Erceg already. Damn, Erceg new champ. Damn, I didn't know Erceg had that much love. Pantoja's elite, man. Bang, my man Bitcoin, the original BTC is in the chat. This card sucks for a pay-per-view. It ain't the best one for a pay-per-view because we just had UFC 300. Obviously, a lot of those 300 fights could have been spread out into 301 to 302 to 303. So the next couple of pay-per-views ain't going to be as strong as they probably would be if we didn't have UFC 300. But in my opinion, still a fun card. And yeah, I think it's going to be good, at least from an entertainment perspective. And I'm still looking forward to it, man. I'm a UFC nerd. I'm always looking forward to UFC cards. Very rarely I look at a card and go, damn, this card's terrible and I don't like it. Scared the cats, like I said, bro. Like, shouldn't be a pussy, but you know. He looks exactly like Erceg. Fair enough. Appreciate the stream. Anyone eyeing Gomez 150? That's decent price. Cash from Guskov KO and Onama last week. Nice, man. And Certified Gas Packs did the exact same thing. So, you know, the Gas Pack smoking on that Spam Pack and that JSP Pack right now. And so am I, actually. I'm smoking on that JSP Pack at least. Dad's Foul saying their fights, just be happy. Completely agree, man. So I'm going to bring up my screen for you boys and you can see exactly what I'm seeing. And then we'll start from the first fight on the main card, which is a banger of a fight. No, it's not. That's the Brito Shaw fight. That's on the prelims, damn. The main card's not really a banger, but it should be fun. All right, let me just bring up right here, boys. Here we go. So, first fight on the main card, Paul Craig versus Caio Borralho. You know, it's interesting because I feel like Caio Borralho has been fighting lower level competition than they should have given for a while now. I understand that he's only had about 5 fights in the UFC, so obviously he shouldn't be, you know, fighting the top levels as soon as he comes into the UFC. But I do think that at this point in time, like Paul Craig's, I don't think he's the right fight for him. You know, obviously they're trying to build him up. They're kind of building him slowly. But I feel like Borralho could fight someone a little bit better than Paul Craig. At the end of the day, though, man, you need to pass the Paul Craig test because Paul Craig can submit anyone from his back. But from what I've seen of Caio Borralho, he's probably going to be able to defend the takedowns. You know, Muradov is a better wrestler than Paul Craig. Paul Craig, maybe at middleweight, he's a little bit stronger, but man, I don't really see him consistently getting takedowns on Caio Borralho. So then we have to ask the question, all right, will Caio Borralho shoot takedowns on him? Yeah, I mean, he does. He might. And then if he does, obviously he's going to be in danger. But it's not like Paul Craig has subbed everybody in the UFC from his guard. Like, people have stayed safe in Paul Craig's guard plenty of times before. Volkan Ozdemir. Is Volkan Ozdemir a high-level BJJ guy? No, he's not at all. But what was he doing? He was fucking him up from guard. You know, he was in his guard most of the fight. A lot of the fight he was in his guard. And it was easy for him. Like, look, obviously, he does finish a lot of people from his guard, but it's not a given. Brendan Allen was fine inside his guard. Brendan Allen actually finished him on the ground. So even if Kai Bahayo decides to maybe shoot, if he decides to use the worst game plan possible in this fight, which will be to shoot takedowns, because Craig is actually better from his guard than he is on top, for the most part, from what I've seen anyway. He's not the best of all time from on top. So even if Kai Bahayo uses the worst game plan possible, which is to take Paul Craig down, I don't think that the chance of him winning Paul Craig is very high. So on Paul Craig's best day, I still think he only wins like, I don't know, man, like 20% of the time on his absolute best day. And on his worst day, he's going to look like 5% chance, sub 5% chance of winning the fight. So I think Kai Bahayo has all the upside in this fight. I mean, it's not a hard breakdown to make. He's minus 500, guys. I think that on the feet, I think if he's smart, he's just going to keep it on the feet. And if he keeps it on the feet, he's going to bounce in and out of range. And Kai Bahayo has a decent chin, but Paul Craig doesn't have a great chin, in my opinion. I've seen Paul Craig wobbled all the time. I'm not going to be surprised if Kai Bahayo just runs through him in round one brutally, just like knocks him out with a lunging rear hand. So, yeah, man, I'm going with Kai Bahayo here. There's no need for me to speak about this fight for a long time, boys. You know me, like, I believe that every fight calls for a different breakdown and a different length of breakdown. There's some fights that I'll speak about for 15 minutes for one fight. And there's some fights I'll speak about for 2 minutes, like I've done with this fight, So we'll move on. I think Bahayo is going to win, probably inside the distance. Michael Pereira versus Ihor Potieria. Out of the big favorites out there, because, Pereira is like minus 400. Out of the massive favorites, I feel like Pereira is one of the more likely candidates for parlay buster, meaning that he's one of the more likely big favorites to lose if they are going to lose. I'm not calling him to lose. I'm not predicting Potieria to win the fight, but Potieria has very good durability. And what I mean by durability, I should change. He has a very good chin. Potieria has a very, very good chin, man. He takes bombs and they don't really affect him too hard, man. The way I've seen him get finished is via cardio. He cardio dumps. And that's going to make the fight interesting, at least early. Like most of Potieria's fights, they are interesting early. He's always in with a chance to knock out his opponent early, all the time. He almost did it against Bellato in round 2. And can you imagine, I bet on Ihor Potieria to win in round 2 via KO at plus 1,800 against Bellato. And man, the fight could have been stopped. It legitimately could have been stopped. I had half a unit on it. We're talking a plus 9 unit swing. Horrible. It's kind of mad because that fight legit could have been stopped, but it wasn't. It is what it is. We move on. We can't moan when we get bad luck. It is what it is. We go through bad luck periods. We'll get the good luck again at some point. And I'm sure there's been fights where the fight got stopped early and I was on the fighter who won. So it is what it, the Padilla versus Erosa fight. I bet on Padilla and the fight was probably stopped early. So it is what it is. It always comes back, but that definitely was a tough one. Padilla, I won like 4 or 5 units, and then Potieria, I lost 9 units, but it is what it is. Well, I didn't lose 9 units. I lost half a unit. But I do think he's got a good chance to knock out Pereira early, getting back to the fight. I definitely do. I think that he might crack him early, but I've seen Pereira show a decent chin in his UFC career. He does have that one weird knockout loss where he actually fought Dusko Todorovic and he got knocked out brutally, which was kind of strange because, well, it wasn't brutally, sorry. I didn't mean to say brutally. What I meant to say was it was a very strange knockout. He showed up against the fence. He got hit by like one shot and then he just quit, which was very weird to see, So I always have worries about that happening to him again. But I have to be honest and say that from what I've seen in the UFC and post that Dusko fight, the guy's had a good chin, man. Like he's had a great chin, really. He's moved up to middleweight now. Obviously had an amazing performance against Michelle Erceg. I think I bet him in that fight, or I bet the under, or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it was, but yeah, that was a good performance there. Kind of a tough luck for people being on the KO, because that literally was a KO and it was just random submission, but it is what it is. The Petrosky fight was at middleweight as well. He's moved up from welterweight. If you go back to the Ponzinibbio and Fialho fights, that's at welterweight. At the end of the day, man, he's coming to the UFC, lost his first 2 fights, which is fake because he did win against Diego Sanchez, but that was classed as a loss. After that stupid debut, it wasn't a debut, it was second fight in the UFC. After that stupid fight where he was backflipping, he doesn't do that shit anymore. He don't backflip off the cage. He hasn't missed weight since. He's dialed in now. He's a very smart fighter. He's a good fighter. Outside of a round 1 knockout, I don't see much chances for Pereira to win. What more likely is going to happen is that Pereira is going to break him down, body kick, leg kick, head kick, body kick, punch to the body, hard punches, bouncing in and out of range, sort of like Caio Borralho will do in the fight previous, a fellow Brazilian there. And yeah, man, I think Pereira is probably going to finish him. I mean, he's minus 400. Like, I ain't coming out and saying Pereira is going to win. But what I will say, boys, and like I've already said, is that Pereira has a chance to win this fight. And I will potentially be looking at Pereira by KO odds. I don't think it's going to happen. I think I'm going to lose that bet if I play it. But I might actually end up playing it. I often play bets that I think are going to lose because of the value. We're not trying to pick the winner of a fight here. We're trying to pick where the value lies. And that's what a lot of people don't understand when it comes to MMA betting. And that's something I'll always repeat because people have to understand it, right? It's very important to understand that. So, yeah, I think that Pereira by KO odds at plus 500 is no better than his money line. You might as well take money line. But when we're talking about Pereira round 1 plus 800, Pereira KO 1 plus 1100. Okay, now I'm actually a little bit interested. Pereira by round 1 KO at plus 1100. I mean, the last time Pereira got finished, it was via round 1 KO against Dusko Todorovic. So I wouldn't be surprised if it happens again, really, to be honest. But yeah, man, I'll pick Pereira to win. I'll pick Pereira to win by round 2 finish, as is what usually happens with Ihor Pereira. If we go back and look at his UFC career, the finish against Nikolai Negamariano, round 2. The finish against Bellato, round 2. Jesus, I forgot that Brajček fight. I completely forgot that fight. And yeah, man, there's not much more to say about this one. I think that Pereira will finish him in round 2, but maybe I just take a shot on Ihor Pereira, man. Like a small shot, I don't hate it. Anthony Smith versus Vitor Petrino. My man Elite here is saying he's been winning money ever since he started betting value rather than winners. Yeah, that's what it comes down to, man. And obviously, when you're betting value, right, like there's going to be bets that look really bad. It's going to happen because it's not like it's easy to pick a winner of a fight because then I'm just going to pick all the minus 500s. I'm going to pick a winner of a fight here. I'll pick Caio Borralho, right? It's very easy to pick a winner of a fight. It's much less easy to pick value because then is there actually value on Caio Borralho at minus 500, right? Or is there value on Craig at plus 400? Like it's a completely different conversation. So because it's much harder to pick value than to pick winners, right? Then you're going to look stupid a lot of times when you're trying to pick value. Whereas if I'm picking winners, I'm going to literally pick the 3 favorites on every card, and most of the time they're going to come through, right? At minus 500 a piece or whatnot. Most of the time they're going to come through. But it's a lot harder to pick value, but that's when you actually make your money. So anyway, Anthony Smith versus Vitor Petrino. Anthony Smith getting back in the octagon, just 1 week removed from finishing Ryan Spann for a 3rd time. And now he's fighting another Ryan Spann archetype. Not really, kind of. Not really, kind of. Petrino, good fighter. I've bet on Petrino a bunch. I bet on him against Pleasure Man. I bet on him against Tyson Pedro. And that was at juice. But the reason I bet on him against Tyson Pedro was heavily because I had inside information that Tyson Pedro would retire after the fight. Obviously, I live out here in New Zealand. City Kickboxing is from New Zealand. That's where Tyson Pedro trains. He's from Australia, but he trains in CKB. I knew he was going to retire after that fight. So I bet on Petrino there. He did retire after that fight. And I think that Anthony Smith is probably close to retire. Well, you would think that Anthony Smith might be close to retiring. But then it's funny because the guy's always talking about a title shot. The guy's all like, he even spoke about a title shot recently. He said that he would give Alex Pereira hell. Literally last week, he said that he's going to give Alex Pereira hell. I don't know about all of that, but what I do know is that he's going to be a tough matchup for Vitor Petrino, man. He's going to be a tough matchup for him because at the end of the day, man, he's still tough. He's got a good chin. You never see him just blasted, really. Obviously, it can definitely happen. Petrino hits very hard. And we have seen Smith blasted a couple of times, but I don't know, man. Smith's not the worst fighter of all time. Like he's still got something in him, in my opinion. I think he's still got a chance to win the fight. You know, his fight against Khalil Roundtree was close up until the finish. Well, it wasn't that close, actually. But what I mean by that is like he was tough in that fight. He was staying tough. I think that there's a world in which he stays tough and then maybe he out-cardios Petrino. Petrino's shown to slow down a little bit. Petrino's shown to... He doesn't have bad cardio, but he has slowed down a little bit. Petrino's also shown to have deficiencies on the ground. He's been put in some precarious positions. But man, I have to be honest, Anthony Smith hasn't looked great lately. Like, yeah, he stayed tough until round 3 of that Khalil fight because he did take some big shots. But at the end of the day, he got knocked out brutally in that fight. Khalil's not the best fighter of all time either. Khalil's a bit flaky. The fight before that, Ryan Span's flaky. And what I will also say is that was a fucking close fight. And Ryan Spann could have won that fight. And speaking about bad beats, like I just told you, Ihor Peteria, round 2 KO plus 1,800. Let me tell you another one. Ryan Spann to win via decision plus 1,600 against Anthony Smith. Split decision. I thought he had an argument to win that fight. He definitely could have won that fight. But yeah, I think that Petrino probably will end up finding a KO here. But I can also see Petrino just winning the decision here. I'm going to go with Petrino overall, but this is a step up in competition. Like my man Gam said, he said that you can see him wrecking everyone's pilots. This is another big favorite where I wouldn't be surprised to see him lose. Like, I wouldn't be surprised to see Michel Pereira drop the ball at minus 400. I wouldn't be surprised to see Vitor Petrino drop the ball at minus 400. I am picking both of those to win, though. And I think more often than not, both of them win. And not only win, but win inside the distance. So my prediction for this fight is Vitor Petrino to win inside the distance. But, man, I could easily see this fight being a decision. So, yeah, man, I don't really have too much to say about that one. I'm not super interested in it. Damn, Martinez looks like he needs to move up in weight in that fight. So, damn, it's Jose Aldo fight week again. Somehow we're here yet again. Jose Aldo is returning to the UFC octagon after a couple of years out of the octagon, fighting boxing matches with low-level boxers, Jeremy Stevens. And now he's back in the octagon. I don't exactly know why. I don't like to see fighters retiring and then coming back. I don't like to see that, to be honest. It doesn't go well that much. I do think that Aldo, out of anyone retiring and coming back, Aldo's probably going to do it fairly professionally. And I do think that, if anyone's returning from retirement and you want to make a bet on them, Jose Aldo would be quite high up the list because I think that Jose Aldo is a consummate professional. I think that he's always training. I think that his whole entire life has been dedicated to mixed martial arts. He's not one of these fighters that do a bunch of other things. I know he opened up some type of... I know he's got cafes and businesses in Brazil. I think he has a restaurant in Brazil and stuff. But his heart's in fighting, right? He's 100% a fighter. He's not like a Peyton Talbot fighter where the guy's doing a million other things and he's not fully in love with fighting. Based on his own words, he said that. Jose Aldo is a fighter through and through. So just like GSP, like my man Robert Fulton is saying. So what I'm trying to say, boys, is that we could see Aldo come back and look very good in this fight. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. Am I saying that's actually going to happen? Like, again, man, we have to think of all outcomes and all avenues in a fight. We can't be married to one thing. I can't just be sitting here, unless I'm very confident in it, which I am every now and then, but I can't sit here and say, Aldo's definitely going to look terrible. Like, I don't know, man. He might not look terrible. He might look decent. You know, and someone's saying, have you watched Aldo's boxing matches? I have. I watched them live, and he looked all right. But he's not a boxer. You know, he's not a boxer. The Jeremy Stevens fight, I think he won that fight, but it was called a draw. I don't really agree with it being a draw. Aldo won that fight, in my opinion. But yeah, I just don't know what we're getting with Jose Aldo, is basically what I'm saying here, boys. It's a bit of a wild card. Martinez, you know, his line's been getting smashed. It's not my type of bet to bet someone like this at chalk against a greatest of all time. I'd be more interested in Martinez if he was even money or something like that. But at -160, I have to pass on the Martinez side. If anything, I'm looking to the Aldo side now, man. +135, like these type of odds. Now I'm looking to Aldo. I'll bring up the odds directly for you so we can see. I mean, Jose Aldo +144. I mean, this is the type of and it's growing as well, boys. So this is the type of line that it might have to force my hand. Now, what I will say is money's still coming in on Jonathan Martinez. So don't listen to this breakdown by me and then go put money on Jose Aldo. There's no point in doing it. You're doing it for the rest of you're fucking it up for the rest of us. By the way, you probably ain't gonna move the line by yourself, right? So if just you doing it, it's fine. But what I mean is that Jonathan Martinez might blow out to -200. We don't really know. I wouldn't expect that, but I wouldn't also expect him to go -164. So yeah, man. I mean, I'll break the fight down technically for you. Obviously, Jonathan Martinez, you know, because sometimes it's good to break these fights down technically. Sometimes it's not. Oftentimes I can't be bothered. If I break a fight down technically, I'm going to be speaking for 30, 45 minutes if I actually break it down technically, right? Because there's a lot of technical aspects to MMA that 99% of people just don't see. So I can speak about them, but I'm not going to go into too in-depth on them. Martinez is a heavy leg kicker, right? His whole game is based on his leg kicks. We saw he got a leg kick TKO last time out against Adrian Yanez. His whole game is based around the leg kicks. And someone asked in the chat earlier, when is the last time Aldo fought a heavy leg kicker? Well, just off the top of my head, and based on my tape, it would be Pedro Munoz. And, you know, he checked all of his kicks, man. Jonathan Martinez is a better leg kicker than Pedro Munoz. You know, Pedro Munoz only goes to the calf. Jonathan Martinez will go everywhere. But I think that Aldo will have a very good display of leg kicking defense in this fight. Now, the thing about Martinez is he can also kick to the body and kick to the head. So, you know, Pedro Munoz is mainly throwing shots at the leg. So it's quite predictable, but Martinez will feint a shot to the leg and hit you in your head. He might just question mark kick Aldo into oblivion and knock him out right there. He'll also feint leg kicks or feint kicks and bring it up the middle with teeps and stuff. So, you know, he's got a wide array of leg strikes. Now, when it comes to the boxing, he ain't a great boxer, to be honest. He ain't a great boxer, and I think Jose Aldo has a big advantage there. I also don't think Jonathan Martinez has a great chin. So if Jose Aldo is able to get in past those leg kicks and get into pocket boxing, I do think that Aldo's going to have a big advantage there. Aldo can slip and rip there. Aldo's still been working on his boxing because he's been fighting boxing recently. And yeah, man, I think that he can knock out Martinez on the inside. I think it's just going to be a competitive striking matchup. I really do. Unless Aldo comes in there washed, which is very possible, then he's gonna get blasted out probably. But Jose Aldo's been on a decline for many years. If we go back and look at some of his fights that he's had recently, even in his wins, in my opinion, hasn't looked great. Like he beat Rob Font, but I mean the guy was getting pieced up the entire fight. He just landed like 5 knockout blows in each round to win him the fight. But that could be a display. That could happen in this fight as well. So you can go back and watch that Rob Font fight and say, oh, you know, Rob Font was piecing him up. Martinez is going to piece him up. But first of all, Rob Font is a very good striker as well, just like Martinez. But he's more of a boxer as well, which Jose Aldo has a hard. he's a very high volume boxer, which Jose Aldo definitely has a hard time in dealing with volume. And we've seen that in the Max Holloway fights. We've seen that in the Peter Yan fights. We've seen that in the Rob Font fight. We've seen that in the Merab Dvalishvili fight. Not really, actually. Dvalishvili kind of just penned him up against the cage. But what I'm getting at is that I could very well see a repeat of the Font fight where like Martinez is kind of piecing him up but gets caught. We've seen Martinez dropped a couple of times, knocked out by David Grant. His chin's not terrible, but I don't think his chin's the best of all time. I think Aldo definitely has it in him to knock him out. Aldo's one of the best fighters of all time. It's just like, where is he at now? You know, so to be honest, man, I think it's dog or pass at this range at plus 144, minus 164. I think it's dog or pass. The under 2.5 rounds intrigued me a little bit. I think both fighters have finishing upside. Aldo could come back washed, meaning that he could be finished. Also, even if he's not washed, Martinez throws these strikes that can finish a horse, you know, for a flying knee. He's got a knockout a knee via knee against Frankie Saenz. He's got a leg kick TKO. He can throw head kicks. So, like, he can finish anyone. If Jose Aldo comes in washed, he can finish him even more. And then on the other side, I think that Aldo's path is kind of a knockout, to be honest, man. I don't really see Aldo winning a clean decision here. If he wins a decision, I think it's based on damage and heavy moments that in another world would end up leading to a knockout anyway. So I feel like, you know, Aldo is reliant on big moments for the most part because I think the leg's just going to be spamming a lot. And I think he'll get some big moments, you know. It's hard to say with big moments because sometimes they just don't come. I'll pick Aldo just because I think he's the value side. I think at plus 144, I think I'd rather play Aldo and just, you know, hope to get a 144% increase on my money than playing Martinez and getting like a 60%, 70% increase or wherever it's at now. So yeah, that's it. Not much more to say, boys. I can go back and forth and stuff, but at the end of the day, yeah, it's a close fight. It's a close fight. It's a close competitive matchup. The only way it's not really, in my opinion, is if someone gets finished early or Aldo comes in washed. Outside of that, I think that it's going to be a very close competitive matchup. So you kind of want to be on the plus 144 side for that, in my opinion. So now we get to the main event, boys. And like I said, man, like that fight I spoke about for like 7-8 minutes. Some of the other fights I speak about for 2 minutes. And that's always what it comes down to. And, you know, this weekend I'm taking on Alejandro Pantoja, so I can't speak too much because obviously I'm going to pick myself to win. But, you know, in all seriousness, this is a very good matchup. It's very funny that Steve Erceg is fighting for the title. You know, you wouldn't expect Steve Erceg to fight for the title, considering people like Khamzat Chimaev haven't even fought for the title yet. Actually, I was speaking to a casual the other day, and they said to me, how has Chimaev not fought for a title and this Erceg guy is fighting for a title? And I just said, well, that's what happens in the UFC, man. It's like, it's a time and a place. And that's what Dana White says all the time. Time and a place for everything. And there's a certain time that if you're coming off a nice win, and for whatever reason, the title holder wants to fight, he wants to get back in there, which Pantoja obviously did, or because of UFC 300, they needed another title main event. And so they've chosen the flyweight, even though there isn't like a massive, massive standout flyweight next in line contender. They're like, yeah, Erceg is coming off a big win, knockout win. Fuck it. We'll give him the title shot. Why not? Australia needs another star. Like a lot of you know, Volkanovski's not champion anymore. We need another Australian champ. It's a massive market for us. Australia is one of the biggest markets in UFC history. Fuck it, we'll try and give Erceg a shot. That's just what happens in the UFC. You know, it's right place, right time. And Erceg was in the right place and right time, and he's had good performances in the UFC. And I like Steve Erceg very much. I bet on Steve Erceg in his debut against David Dvorak at plus 200. I also faded him against Alessandro Costa at plus 170 or something. I think at plus 170, that was a good bet. It was 1-1 going into the third round. Steve Erceg won it on clinch control in the third round. Very random, not very predictable in my opinion. I think I was on, if not the right side in that fight, because I do think Erceg's a high-level fighter. I think it was at least an accurate line. I don't think Erceg minus 200 is good in that spot. It was 1-1. And I bet on him at David Dvorak. So, and I just passed on the Schnell fight. He was a massive favorite. I was going to bet him inside the distance. I don't know if I bet the under or something, but I think I just passed on that fight. And that's it. He's had no other fights in the UFC, but has he had any other fights? I don't think so. They're the only 3 fights I watched, to be honest. Yeah, he's only had them 3 fights in the UFC. Erceg's a good all-round fighter, man. Erceg's a very good all-round fighter. He's got very good boxing, and that's where he shines. But look at this guy. He looks funny, man. Very good boxing. He shines in his boxing. He also has decent wrestling, good jiu-jitsu. He's a great finisher on the ground and on the feet. Pantoja is an elite fighter himself, but he shines on the ground. So in some regards, we've got a striker versus the grappler in this fight. But I will say that this is a fucking high-level fight. And like I said at the start of the podcast, both fighters can do everything in every facet of MMA. So I ain't going to say striker and grappler. I don't want to be rude. But Pantoja does his best work on the ground. Erceg does his best work on the feet. And that's really what it comes down to. I think if this fight stays on the feet for 5 rounds, Erceg is going to box this man up. He's going to piece this man up. I mean, who has Pantoja dusted on the feet? Matt Schnell? Yeah, Erceg done that. He got the T-shirt already. Who has Pantoja dusted on the feet? He doesn't dust anyone on the feet. Brandon Royval was piecing him up on the feet. He just won via takedowns. Brandon Moreno was winning on the feet at times, but that was a weird performance from Moreno as well. But Pantoja won on takedowns and get in the back. I don't think it's a hot take to say that unless Pantoja knocks out Erceg, because let me tell you something now, Pantoja is one of the best finishers, even on the ground, even on the feet in the flyweight division's history. The guy has an elite power and elite chin, so he can always win a durability war. And you know, a few people saying that's why he's going to take him down. Do you think he stays on the feet? And I'm going to get to that in a minute, but I'm going to speak about the striking aspect first, and then I'm going to speak about what I think is going to happen, and then I'll touch on the wrestling and grappling aspect as well. But just finishing off on the feet, Pantoja can knock out Erceg on the feet. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. But if he doesn't, Erceg's going to school him, man. Erceg's going to jab his face up 100 times, going to lag 150 significant strikes. 1-2, 1-2, leg kick, jab, jab, jab. He's going to clown him on the feet. He's a much better boxer, in my opinion. Now, Pantoja could win the durability war on the feet. And that's what happens a lot. Like Perez versus Nicolau. Who's the better striker? Nicolau is a better striker than Perez. Let me tell you that now. I'll put all my money on that, right? Nicolau is a much better technical striker. If they had like the same speech, confidence and ability to speak, then Nicolau will be a much better striking coach than Perez because he's way better striker. But who won on the feet in that fight? Perez. Why? Durability. He won the durability war. The first round was 50-50, but it wouldn't have been 50-50 if Perez didn't have a better chin in him because Nicolau landed an insane punch in that first round. And what happened? Perez ate it like it was nothing. That would have been a first round KO for Nicolau if the chins were swapped. Nicolau wins via KO 1. But guess what happened? Perez KO'd him in round 2. Why? Because he won the durability war. The fight was based on durability and durability alone. That is the only reason Perez won that fight. Now, that could happen here, but Pantoja could win a durability war against a better striker. I know Pantoja has elite durability. I don't know that about Erceg. I think he's decent, but I don't know about him, right? Now, do I think it stays on the feet? I don't think it stays on the feet for 5 rounds. I'd be surprised, actually. I mean, Pantoja's going to sell out for takedowns. Pantoja's going to sell out for back takes. I think that he probably gets a takedown once or twice, but to be honest, I don't think it's that common. I don't think he's going to be able to take down Erceg like he took down Royval. Let me tell you that now. Royval has negative takedown defense. He's got good get-ups, but he doesn't have good takedown defense, right? Whereas Steve Erceg actually has decent takedown defense, and he's got good get-ups as well. So unless Pantoja's taking the back, which he's the best back taker in the entire sport, I can definitely see it. But unless he's taking the back consistently, I don't think he's going to be able to establish that much control time on Steve Erceg. So, man, like when I look at this fight, I think it's a close fight. I think both fighters have good outs to win. I think it's close to an even fight. I think that Pantoja should be the favorite, maybe like a minus 140 or something. And the reason I say that is because he's got way more experience. He could just win a durability war. So even though he's the worst striker, it is possible he still wins on the feet, even though I don't think he will. It is still possible. So we have to cap that in. I don't know about Steve Erceg's cardio, so that's another unknown. Although Pantoja doesn't have great cardio at all. He just has a great ability to fight through. And then obviously Pantoja has 5-round experience, high-level experience, UFC experience, more MMA experience. I mean, everything in those intangibles definitely go towards Alejandro Pantoja. So I think you have to make him a favorite here. I don't think anyone in their right mind could say that Erceg should be a favorite. Now, I understand if you think he should be a favorite from a stylistic perspective, because I could see you saying he's a better striker and he's going to defend the takedowns. But we have to be very honest and look at things from a macro perspective, not just he's a better striker. We have to look at it from the possible durability, the experience, the MMA experience, the high-level experience, the UFC experience, the finishing instincts. Like, make no mistake about it, Pantoja definitely should be a favorite in this spot, but I don't think he should be minus 200. I don't agree with him, and I think the line's come down a bit now anyway. So he's minus 188, he's minus 200. To be honest, he's minus 200 on most books, but he's minus 180 on Bet Online. Bet Online is obviously the sharpest book of all time. So yeah, man, I don't have too much more to say about this one. I think that it's a very close fight. I think that Erceg has outs to win this fight, but Pantoja's a motherfucker, man. If Pantoja gets his back, he might just finish him. And that's really it. Not too much more to say. Tristan's saying Erceg lost to Dennis Bondar. Yeah, that's not a good loss, is it? That was a while back, though. Ozzy's saying underdogs have been doing really well in the main events of late. Yep. I guess except for Alex Pereira. He was a favorite. So we'll go back to the loss he had to Dennis Bondar. He was 4-0. Dennis Bondar was making his amateur debut back in 2019. So quite a while ago, 5 years ago. They've changed a lot since then. But yeah, still something to note, I guess. Worse than that, he lost to Sean Gucci. Sean? Oh, damn. I thought that was... Where's this guy from? Melbourne, Victoria. A guy who used to train at my gym is a fighter. His surname was Gucci, and he was from Australia as well. And he kind of looks like him. But I don't think that's his brother. Let me Google that, actually. I'll Google it after. It's not that important. That might be his brother, you know. Let's see if they're following each other on Instagram. I don't think they are. Although I don't know his Instagram. Anyway, so yeah, that's it, boys. The whole podcast is done. Not much more to say now. But if you do have any questions for me, even about other fights, let me know. We smashed this one, 38 minutes. We went through this one quite quickly. So yeah, I don't mind answering some other questions if you've got. And boys, I'm putting out content every single day on my YouTube channel. You're on my YouTube channel right now. First of all, I never say this. I always forget to say this. Someone said it earlier. Hit the like button if you're here. I don't even know if likes help YouTube videos, guys, but they must do. Otherwise, probably they wouldn't be there. They obviously use it for some reason. So yeah, please hit me with a like. I'd appreciate it a lot. Helps the video. I've been putting out videos every single week. Every single day I've been putting out videos. If you ain't taking advantage of my videos, then I don't know what you're doing. I put out tons of content for free every single day on my YouTube channel. I tell you how to build your bankroll from zero. I tell you how to find value on MMA bets. I tell you how to avoid getting banned by the sports books. I mean, I do the prediction videos, but I do a bunch of other shit every single day. There's nobody in the entire planet that puts out this MMA content that I'm doing. Nobody in the entire planet. So it's there. It's all there for you, all for free. So, you know, go and use it. Also follow my Instagram. I put out breakdowns on Instagram before YouTube and other pieces of content on Instagram that don't come out anywhere. I have a free bet every single week on my Instagram channel that doesn't go on Twitter or YouTube. Sometimes on YouTube, actually. But yeah, follow my Instagram. And yeah, that's it, man. Not too much more to say, but I will answer some questions. Mixed gambling artist. Do you think Erceg's only path is the KO? No, I don't. And the reason is because, I mean, why can't he win a decision? Like, if he's having striking success, it's hard for me to see Pantoja getting knocked out. Can I see him getting knocked out? I definitely can see it. I mean, the guy's in war after war after war after war. And when I say war after war, I mean, I guess the Royval fight wasn't a war, but like, the guy's in dogfights time and time again. He gets hit a lot. Davison Figueiredo should have broken his chin years ago. And he's took shots since then, man. So I wouldn't be surprised if one of these days he does get knocked out. But he's got an elite chin. So if he's able to take the shots like he has done in every single fight of his entire career, then I wouldn't be surprised to see Erceg winning the decision there. As I was saying, thanks for the great content and thanks, chat. Best of luck. Oh, yes, best of luck to everybody. And thanks for tuning in. Is Carolina plus 3.5 points handicap worth a shot? Oh, I'm going to say no, because I think that Lucindo has a good chance of finishing that fight. You know, if I thought it was going to go to decision, then I do think she has a chance of getting one round. I definitely think she has a chance of like winning a round. But that doesn't answer your question, because then we have to weigh winning a round up with if she's going to get finished. And I do think actually Lucindo's got a decent chance of finishing that fight. So first of all, I've never bet on these handicaps. I've never ever bet on a handicap before. I probably never will. It's not my expertise. I don't like them. I don't know nothing about them. I haven't tracked myself on them. So I can't really tell you too much about it. But I will say that I think Lucindo has a good chance of finishing the fight. So Orobal fight. Brenner versus Orobal. Brenner versus Orobal. So I definitely have to do Orobal. Favorite fight on the prelims. Yeah, what a banger of a fight. Let's go to this one. We'll scroll down. I'll bring up my screen again. Scroll down to Orobal fight. Where are we at? Muradov withdrew to infection. I didn't even know that. Got a bad memory, boys. I do forget a lot. So Elvis Brenner versus Miktek. What the fuck? Miktaibek. I think the K is silent. Mitabek. Mitabek? Mitabek Orobal. Mitabek Orobal. Maturbek. Anyway. We got this stone-faced motherfucker. Jesus Christ, man. I wouldn't like to meet him down a dark alley. I wouldn't like to meet him in the octagon either. But you know who will? Elvis Brenner, this nutty son of a bitch from Brazil. He's a madman. So I don't think he's going to be scared by Orobal. But I think a lot of fighters would, man. This is going to be a good fight, boys. This is going to be a good fight. Because Elvis Brenner is a motherfucker. And he ain't going to go away easily. When Orobal's style is the style to make you go away easily, right? Like, if you ain't game, Orobal is going to finish you. And it ain't going to be close. Because you saw what he done to Uros Medic. And by the way, it looks like he has elite, what's it called? He has elite chin as well. Because, damn. He took some shots against Medic in that first fight. And he ate them easily. That was insane. He took like legit like knockout blows. He took legit knockout blows. And he just ate them. It didn't even wobble him. So it was quite scary. Look, man, he's just going to spam takedowns here and I guess win. Like, I have to pick Orobal here. He's like some scary-ass grappler, man. I haven't really seen much from him to say that he ain't going to win this fight. The thing is, though, like, this could get sticky in round 3, man. Brenner might just start coming forward. Brenner was getting pieced up by Guram Kutateladze, but, man, he just kept walking forward and he got a finish based on it. So, yeah, I don't know, man. Orobai is going to get takedowns here. I'd be very surprised. Orobai. I'll be very surprised by Brenner just defending takedowns. I'll put it that way, boys. I'm going to pick Orobai. I think Orobai is the side here. When I say the side, I don't know if he's. I'm not saying he's the side at -270. At that point, maybe you just play Brenner, but I don't know if Orobai is going to finish here. What's the price on Orobai decision or even fight goes to decision? Yeah, see what I'm saying? Like, they're giving us a good price on fight goes to decision -120. You got to think, though, if Orobai, like, if the fight goes, Orobai's probably got his takedowns going. Because if Brenner gets his game going, I mean, Brenner's a finisher. I mean, not always, I guess, but, you know, Orobai could weasel decision loss like Tuhugov did. But, yeah, anyway, Orobai wins by decision is +135. Elvis Brenner, I didn't think he was good at all coming into the UFC, honestly. I saw his fight against, who was it? Was it Gabriel Santos? I don't think it was Gabriel Santos. No, but that was a good fight. There was one of these fights. I think it might have been this fight, the Andreev fight, and I just didn't like him coming in. But I haven't watched that since. Gabriel Santos, legit fighter, by the way. Very good fighter. But I didn't think this guy was a great fighter coming in, to be honest. But anyways, proved me wrong. He definitely is a good fighter. I bet on him to win via KO against Kanan, and I didn't think it would come like that in the first round, but it did. That was kind of a random knockout, to be honest. I don't think that's replicable at all. But anyway, I think a decision is a good play. I mean, he's never been finished before. And Orobai is not going to knock you out on the feet, to where I think Elvis Brenner's going to get finished on the feet at some point, because Brenner's definitely there to be hit. Whereas he seems very gritty on the ground. He does get taken down, but he seems gritty. Orobai is a finisher. You know, he finishes mostly everyone. Did go to a decision against Jalen Fuller. Outside of that, went to a decision here, but that was in a 5-round fight as well. So the guy's gone 5 rounds already. That was a decision. This guy's, let's see if he's doing decent, 11-2. But he hasn't really fought anyone, it seems like. The only guy he did fought, he kind of lost. But that was illegal stoppage. Anyway, I'm just kind of going through their records to see like how often they finish, etc., etc. So I think maybe the goes to decision is the play here. But it's going to be a fucking war, though. Like, do you really want to play a goes to decision in an action-packed war? But it's an action-packed war, but I don't think any fighter is like an elite finisher in any realm. I honestly don't. I think, you know what? I think both fighters are elite finishers with pace and pressure. But I don't think any fighter is an elite finisher with their grappling skills. And I don't think any fighter is an elite finisher with their striking skills. I think that their finishes come not from the two realms of MMA, striking and grappling, but from the intangible realms where we speak about pace, pressure, durability of them so they can break their opponent because they're too durable. But we've got two fighters who have those same intangibles coming up against each other. It's not like Elvis Brenner's terrible at jiu-jitsu and Murtabek's so much better and he's going to sub him. It's like the reason they're getting finishes is based on their durability, cardio, but that's, you know, and toughness, but that's kind of cancelled out in this fight. So I think that the GTD could be a sneaky play at -120. Do I get greedy and go Orobai decision at +135? The only reason I would is because, like I mentioned earlier, that that I think that if Brenner gets his game going, I think it's looking more likely that he's going to get a finish. Whereas if Orobai gets his game going, I could see Brenner just toughing it out. But I'd probably just lean to the GTD rather than Orobai decision. I don't think we need to get cute. But maybe I'll do more tape and kind of decide if I really think that Brenner can win a decision here. Because what's Brenner decision? That's probably quite a lot. Yeah, +500 there. Whereas Orobai is +135. So you see what the bookies are saying there. The bookies are basically saying what I'm saying. So yeah, I don't mind a GTD out of anything, but I ain't gonna pick a winner in that one. I mean, it's -270. I'm picking Orobai, but I ain't gonna say that there's value on the winner. Orobai has decent striking also, and we've seen he's got a chin too. Yeah, Orobai sub +450 looks good to me. Fair enough. Like, he's definitely going to have grappling success. He's definitely going to take his opponent down. I've seen Brenner taken down multiple times. I've seen Brenner get back to his feet a lot, but man, Orobai is a different level on the ground. So you never know. What's up, boys? Let's do this weekend. I'm feeling grateful after hitting a +7, 8-7 on hockey. My man Esteban, well done, bro. Well done for earning a +7, 8-7. Mr. Pib Extra. This guy's a bit mad, you know. He's got a mad photo, and then he came into the chat one time. Oh, bro, was that you that came into the chat one time and started mentioning? Oh, I think it was this dude, Rigo. He's like another YouTuber or something like that. I don't know, bro. I ain't in the YouTube scene. I just make videos. Oral Bias should get a lot of top time. Yeah, I agree, Ozzy. Brito versus Shaw. Who you got? I've got Brito. I've got Brito in that one. But actually, I wanna take that one a bit more, to be honest. I've just watched both their last fights, which is not a good indication of the fight. Lucrative. You can do better than that, bro. The Legendario James. Let's fucking go. Gomez Silva. I think I'm gonna be done now, boys, to be honest. Sorry, I've already broke down 2 other fights on the main card. If you want my full card breakdown, you can go to my Parlay Madness show, which is going to come in about 2-3 days, when I usually do it with my man MMA Line Movement. And that's it, man. I ain't got too much more to say. I ain't got nothing more to say, to be honest. My man Bo's got a G on Brito. Nice, bro. Good luck with that. And that's it. I'll be back in a few days. Shout out to everybody. Good luck with your bets this weekend. But I'll see you soon before then anyway.